What's up, everybody? This is Greg with Advantage One Brokers, and this is the ADV1 podcast. This is a podcast we come to you each and every weekday with relevant topics and training. I am your host, Greg, and this today is we have a guest speaker, Ms. Pena or PT. How are you doing today, PT?
First of all, Greg, thank you for having me on. I am blessed. I'm just blessed to be here on this platform with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on and taking time out of your day to just speak to agents and tell them about your experience, and hopefully we'll get some training out of it. Before we start, got a couple of announcements. First off, we have in the month of October, from October 6th to November 13th, we have the quality level term competition. Top 10 agents in that period that have the most net issue paid production will be awarded. The top place is $5,000 and a flight out to Sacramento to do a live podcast with Spencer, Chris, and myself. So we're going to award you live, and we're going to treat you to a day out in Sacramento. But we'll be announcing this for the next couple weeks. But hey, the competition started, so let's go. All right, it is a great product. But let's go ahead and jump into this, PT. You came over relatively soon after we made the first transition. So tell me a little bit about your experience from the practice company. Tell me what got you looking, and we'll jump in.
Okay, so I went all in 2019. I think there was a lot of factors that were going on, but I went all in. They were like, spend $1,000 a week on leads, run your appointments, take travel trips. And I did exactly what they said.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers, I'm a numbers person. I come from an accounting background. And so for me, it was not seeing the results, like spending hundreds and thousands of dollars every week on leads. And it just didn't make sense for me that I would go on travel trips. I would book these appointments, and it was almost like forcing these appointments on people who don't even want to buy. And so, long story short, I was, received a text message through our management group saying to delete you, and I was just confused. I was confused as to why I needed to delete someone who just produced $192,000. And I resonated with you. Like, you were, my morning motivation when you woke up in the morning and did your podcast. And so I waited a couple of days. I was told a few things, continuing to tell me to delete you, and it just didn't sit right with me. And so I was driving down to Houston and your podcast came on at 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, I need to hear this. Like, I have been praying to God to give me some type of answer, and that was my answer. Everything you said, I resonated with. So
And the rest is history. So
yes.
coming over, you talked to me a little bit before we started. What happened from the practice company that you're saying, you're praying for an answer. What
Yes.
was happening with the amount of leads you're buying and everything that you were spending for your team and all that it got to the point where you're begging God for help.
I think it was one of my agents. She lives in San Angelo, Texas, which is about a 4.5 hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
And she drove up here, and we ended up buying leads in the same county. And about 52 of those were the same. I mean, they were just same numbers, or different numbers, same addresses, and same name. And so she's like, dude, let me pull out my stuff because I want to show you that these are the same exact leads that I just bought the week prior. When I brought that up to the attention of, or brought that up to my prior upline, he basically, in so many words, told me that I wasn't working hard enough, and I was finding excuses not to work.
Yeah.
And so that was my breaking point. I was like, you know what, I'm out. Like, I can't keep doing this to myself. I can't keep.
And these are supposed to be exclusive leads, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
These were supposed to be exclusive instant leads.
Yeah. And here's the thing. 52 people did not go back online and all sign up and then put a different phone number.
Yes.
That didn't happen. And
No.
if somebody tells you, "Oh yeah, they signed up," don't believe that. In fact, you would be dumb to believe that. That's a
Yes.
huge red flag. It's just like, this doesn't make sense when you're calling people and they're like, "You're the 30th person that I called," and you're getting that over and over again. The leads have
Yep.
been called before by another agent.
Yeah.
I promise you. And they're
Yes.
lying. And they're lying to get you to just buy more leads.
Yes.
It's a cult mentality.
Yes.
And how much were you going into debt doing that?
I'm currently sitting at, I just sat with my accountant. I'm sitting at $82,000 just from travel trips and leads.
From the previous company that you're trying to
Yes.
dig out of. Yeah,
Yes.
that right there is just sad.
Yes. And I was fortunate enough to have the support, and the savings, from my husband to
Mhm.
help me through this process. Because he was like, whatever it is, I believe in you. I know your work ethic. I
He's a
know
good
you're
man.
gonna, yeah.
He's a good man.
I know you're gonna get through this. Even on weeks when, I mean, he went to the convention with me and he's like, I don't know about you, but these leads that they keep pushing on you doesn't sound right. Like they're not telling you how to grow your business. They're telling you go buy leads, go buy leads. And he's like, I don't get it,
Yeah.
and I just continued.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. It really is that there's so many people that have gone there
Yes.
and just incurred massive
Hmm.
debt. And it's like, well, what's the point? What's the like? Why are we even in this industry if like you're chewing people? 90% of people that come in, you're chewing them up and spitting them out, and they're more worse off than when they started. With this promise of like, hey, you can build a great financial future, and insurance, you can do all these things, which you can, but with the wrong system, that's fueled by greed and
Hmm.
no leadership. It's like, hey, anytime anyone questions it, you get yelled at. Hey man,
Yes.
if my leads are sucking and I'm like, what's going on here? I have a right to ask what's going on and how these leads are generated. And it's it's the responsibility of my upline, the person that brought me in, that's above me, to work for me, to make sure that I put in the best position possible and to answer those questions forthright, not to like insult me and say you're not working hard enough.
Yes.
That's just a ridiculous notion. And if that's happening to you, I don't care what company you're in, but if that's happening to you, you deserve better. Period. You do not
Yes.
deserve to be treated like that. You do not deserve to be put in a system that's just going to eat your money and you're going to have duplicate leads. That's insane that you bought leads and your agent bought leads in the same area, and out of those, there's 52 of the same people.
Yes.
That's
52. I still have it to this day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna throw it away just because I know the truth. And
that's criminal.
yeah,
That's
it is.
criminal. So,
It is. And
um, what got you? You know, you had met somebody, one of the agents here, before we made the move, which kind of
yes.
like sparked a relationship. And talk a little bit about that.
So my original intentions was to text you,
Okay.
but God led me to the I mean to the agent, and it was just like I come from a military family, just you guys talking about it, but talking to him just made me feel a lot better, and I'm like, dude, this is too good to be true.
Mm-hmm. You're frozen. Hopefully, you come back. Okay.
So
Are
I
you
was
okay?
surprised. I was like,
So you froze when you said too good to be true,
oh,
and you've been frozen
oh,
since then.
okay.
So
No, I was saying like as he was explaining to me that I didn't have to run, I didn't have to dial 8 to 12 hours, and
uh,
I didn't have to um run 30 appointments to places that to people that were gonna no show me,
Mm.
because I live in like borderline Fort Worth, Saginaw, so
Okay,
Dallas is
I
an
know the
hour.
area very well. Yeah, I've actually stayed in
Yeah.
Saginaw
Okay.
when I
So
first
you know
moved
how
here.
far
Yeah,
it
I
is.
know the area pretty well. Yeah.
Yep. So it's a far drive to everywhere,
Yeah.
and to be away from home and the wear and tear, and it just made more sense for me. And I made the jump. Like I was like, I'm gonna go all in, but it actually took me 36 days to be like, okay, PT, get out of your head, like stop allowing the previous company to control your mindset right now because you're losing. You're still letting them win right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So the person she's talking about, Kevin Vega, good friend of mine.
Yes.
He's the hashtag meme king. Um, he had reached out. He had saw we had a conference in Dallas, and he was one of the only people that came up and just introduced and said hi and just talked to you and showed you some kindness. He's a good dude like that. He likes to talk to everybody, and he just has a very good heart, very good intentions. So you can just feel it when you talk to him. So.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
um, so he talked to you, and
Yes.
or you reached out to him, and
Yes, I did.
had a
I
good
did.
conversation, and so
Yes.
once you started coming on board, how long did it take you to start getting rolling? Like, what's your experience been like since you made the plunge and said, "Let's do this"?
I think my first batch, like after our one-on-one that day, because he was like, PT, you're going to have to just move forward. And like a lot of agents are feeling the same way that you feel. And they need you to show them that there is a better way. And I came on board with a team, and so I had no choice. And that day, he while we were talking, he said there's some leads right now, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go buy them. So I went and bought 10 leads, got one free,
Mm,
dialed 11 in 45 minutes, spoke to 5 people, booked 5 appointments. Two of them, declined due to prices, but they knew exactly why I was calling. I didn't get yelled at.
mm,
I didn't get told that I was the 50th person that called. And I was so excited. I was texting Kevin and was like, dude, I think I'm dreaming. Like this can't be real. I just booked like 1 for 1, now 2 for 2. And within 45 minutes I was done. And I was done for the day and I was able to focus on my agents. So it's been a great, the transition itself has been a little up and down, but that's expected when you transition into something better,
mm.
and you're learning new things. But it's been amazing. The leads are amazing, even the B leads.
They're something to behold. I tell you what.
Yeah.
Let's talk numbers. Let's crunch some numbers. How much have you spent on leads? What's your production been so far since you've been spending? I know you said you've been writing for about the past 2 weeks.
Yes. So I wrote 14 applications. I'm currently at a little over $28,000 in AP.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was from one of the leads that I sold from a lead, and then I got referrals. So I have 9 referral applications.
Oh wow,
Um, and I have not even worked through the rest of my A leads just because of all the referrals that have been coming in.
that's fantastic. So how many A leads did you spend? How many did you buy?
I bought 15.
You have 15. So you spent 750. Have all 15 come in yet?
Yes, I
Okay, all
have.
15
Yeah.
have come in. Did you do a recurring order? I'm more or less
I
talking
did
now.
do a yeah, I did do a recurring order. I got my first order actually last week.
Okay.
But I went into the CRM and I have a financial goal that I want to meet by the end of the month. And so I was like, I'm just gonna go buy leads and continue to work them as I need to work them.
Okay.
Um, so
And you spent $750 and you've written
yes,
28,000 over
yes,
2 weeks. Is that not bonkers to you?
it is. Like I made that. That was probably a good month for me at my practice company. And then
And how
I
much
was
would you have
even
to spend to get that though?
oh, I mean travel trips, including travel trips,
Yeah.
probably about 10,000,
Yeah.
11,000 paying my staff too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's insanity. The
it
difference.
is.
Yeah.
It
Just
is.
some quality leads. You don't even need that many.
No.
And running them appropriately, be trained appropriately, know the different carriers and products that we have, and take care of the client home. And what happens when you take care of the client? When you really care for the client, they're going to do things like give you referrals, refer you to people that they want you to take care of as well, because the experience was so good.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
absolutely. So, when you were at the practice company, you'd built a team. How big was your team before you, at the height of it?
I left with I had 23 agents on my team.
Okay.
And but I wanted to speak on that because my upline sent me people who he knew didn't work, or people who didn't he felt like I could better resonate with them.
Mm-hmm.
But these were people who were like, I had a agent that came on that was 82 years old, didn't know anything about technology. And those were the type of people that he sent to me. Like, hey, work with them, but don't spend too much time. Like 15 minutes is the max. And I'm like, there's no way. These people don't understand. Like, I don't even know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You're feeding me with these leads. But I mean, these agents who need more help than what I can do right now. And so I brought on the people that with me. I told them, and they were like, we believe in you. We believe in what where you're taking us. So we're going to come with you.
Absolutely. And that makes a difference. Probably because you showed care and concern for people, yes. Took care of them. You weren't just like flicking boogers at other people. Like, I don't want to deal with this person. You deal with them. You can get them writing. And that's literally what they're doing. That's their form of leadership. I mean, and here's the thing is that those are learned behaviors. They are. This stems from the very top.
Yes.
This is how they operate at the top levels. Is like, hey, anyone you got to invest too much time, they're not worth it. Flick them off to somebody else. Let somebody else deal with it. Mm-hmm. And then when that happens, what do you do the same thing, and then the same thing all the way down the line. And so you think that's the most efficient way to deal with your business, and it's not.
No.
You want to build a profitable business? Take care of people. Build profitable people. They'll build the business for you.
Yes.
Period. And then they'll also follow you wherever you go.
Yes.
So no matter what, because they trust you. You've earned their trust. Here's the thing, is that I've got a collective group of people that came with me. And there's a lot of people that came with me, but there's a collective group, like in Kevin's one of them, that no amount of money could get them to leave. There's nothing the practice company or any other company could come in and say, hey, we'll do this for you and your family, that they would say, you know what? Hey, Greg, I had to take the offer. They wouldn't. You know why? Because they trust me.
Yes.
Because I pour into them and I take care of them, and they trust me to do the best decision for everybody, not for me.
Yes.
And so and then what happens is that they do the same thing. They take care of people in the same way, and it bleeds throughout an organization like that.
Yes.
And leadership really is the difference. Leadership wins the day. And sometimes there's a lot that could be what's missing at some of these companies, is just having really good leadership of people that are getting taken care of. And that was something that, I was talking to Chris the other day, and Chris was talking to me, and he was like, dude, I'm a great recruiter. I can recruit, just about anybody. She's like, I recruited you, he's like, I could never recruit your core people. They would never, no matter what I offered them, if you decided to leave, they would go with you.
Yes.
No matter what I offered them. And he's like, that's strong. It speaks volumes of who you are,
Yep.
and that speaks volumes of Kevin. That speaks volumes of David, Jeff, Zach, Lance, that even to this day, I was talking to Lance, and Lance is like, I got a call from this person over at the practice company again, offering me this, this, and this. And he was like, dude, they're not stopping. And it's just like, let them. It's a joke. At this point, it's laughable. Like, that shows just how desperate you are to try to poke holes in something instead of just fixing your system. Like, your system is broken, and no one's going back to it that's got a right mind. Anyone that you're bringing back is weak. And by the way, people they brought back and paid already are already starting to come back to us because the leads suck and they're terrible and they're spending all their money they were given. Like, it doesn't even make sense. It's just like, dude, you're already in the hole again. That sucks. Well, What's going to be different this time?
Yeah, and
You know?
that happened to me, you know, and I feel like when you're aligned with the right people at the right time, and the devil always tries to lurk in.
Yes.
And so I believe that
That's a great reference. That's
it,
the devil literally whispering like to tempt you into sin.
yes,
That's
yes,
exactly what it is. If it feels off doing it, if you have to hide to do it, if you got to be behind closed doors and keep it secret, guess what? It's probably bad. And you
yes,
probably don't want it to come to light because you know it's wrong. But it's like,
yes.
I'm getting offered money and higher comp. Okay, well, what about your agents? What about all the agents that are there? What about the team that you brought over here for better leads and now you're trying to take them back?
Yes.
Like, they didn't change anything. They're just offering you money to come back
Hmm.
to a broken system.
Yep. And I
Like,
had that same thing happen to me where I was like, okay, I'm good. And then someone came over and went back and was like, hey, you can bring your team. I'm going to give you like 10 to 15% comp higher. I'm going to give you this bonus. And then your team, you can put them wherever you want. And then you can get the spread. And I told him, I don't live for my team. Like I don't live to make overrides off of my team.
mm,
My team is my team because we we have to work together. Like
yeah,
I have to replicate myself into them so that they can go out there and serve as well. So I'm not going to do that to my team because the Bible teaches us not to be fickle minded. And so when you're fickle minded, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm this or that. Like you start to create confusion into your life. And then now at this point, you don't even know what you want.
yeah.
And you're just
You don't
chasing.
stand for
Yep,
something, you'll fall for everything.
absolutely. Yep. I love that. I love that quote.
Yeah. Because it's true. Like, you have to have a path. You have to know what you're doing. You have to have, and this goes into simple daily tasks that you can do in order to create consistency and discipline in your life.
Yes.
Is, hey, have a vision, write it down, know where you're going, and if an opportunity comes, assess whether that opportunity will take you down the path you're looking to go for your vision, or if it won't. And if it
Yes.
doesn't, but it's like, oh, but it's really nice, I'm going to get this, this, and this, but it still doesn't take you down the path, which, why would you take that?
No. It makes no
It
sense.
doesn't.
It
And
makes
so
no
if you're truly doing those things, you're not going to. You're going to be like, nope, that doesn't take me where I want to go. I don't care what you offer me. Like, that's material things that doesn't answer the issues that I have, and it doesn't take me where I want to go in the end.
sense.
Period.
Yep.
Like, you're absolutely, no, man, you are nailing this, PT.
And yeah, and I tell people, I don't trust men. I all my moves are calculated and they're calculated by God. Like I have to hear his voice to know that I can move forward.
Absolutely.
Um, and that's it. You know, you can't just be like, oh, we're gonna dangle $10,000 over your head and you're gonna come back over. $10,000 isn't anything when your leadership is still crappy, when your leads are still crappy, when you're still emotionally and verbally abusing your team members,
Mm-hmm.
your agents who are running the field and making money for you. And then on top of that, you're not running the field because you're collecting all this money that your team is making. But now that your team is gone, you have to go back into the field and you have to feel what we feel.
Yeah.
And so everything that it's a full circle. Like what you do to people, it's going to come back on you tenfold. And so you're either going to do good or bad.
I love that. I just love the analogy you're making, bringing it to a religious point of,
Mm-hmm.
think about it in the simple context of, um, you know, actions around you, actions that people do, are they of God or are they of the devil? Um,
Yeah.
if somebody's offering you money to come back to a place that you left
Mm-hmm.
because it was a bad situation, you didn't like the leadership or whatever, is that offer an offer from God, or is it an offer from the devil to go back to sin?
Yeah, and
Hmm.
selling your soul.
Is that you're selling? Yeah, you're selling your soul. You're being bought.
Yeah. And
That's
I
what
just feel
exactly
like,
what it is.
yeah, and I feel like I can't be bought. I can't continue to drag my team through the things that they have already gone through. They've trusted me as a leader, and I feel like as a leader, you have to go into the trenches. You have to do the work, the
Mm-hmm.
dirty work, so that you can protect your future agents and your current agents from making the same mistakes that
Yeah.
you're making, so
Mm-hmm.
that they can be successful. Because if I can tell my agent, hey, don't do this, I've done this, and I'm letting you know, don't do this because you're going to fail. I'm protecting them from that so that they can be the best version of who they can and serve and protect families.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely. That's a great comparison. I love it. How have your agents felt about the move so far? Are they having success also? What challenges are they having? You know?
most of them are just now, like, they're brand new. They're brand new agents. I brought on two that, or three, I apologize, that have been in or came from my practice company. However, they're having the same issues. They're like, I'm not signing the NDA. I actually just got an email from one of my agents this morning. It was like, they won't let me go. Like, I either have to terminate, or they're still keeping me on at the old practice company. What do I do? And I have not came up with a response yet to him. But I
Oh,
think
and
that
by
everything is.
by the way, on this topic, I'm just going to interject real quick. I actually talked to an agent yesterday that
Mhm.
did sign it a couple weeks ago, and guess what?
Hmm.
No carrier releases yet.
Wow.
So if you think there's nothing in that form, if you actually read it, send it to a lawyer. That's what I did. Do the smart thing, send it to a lawyer, and they'll tell you, don't sign this. It's not a traditional NDA, and there's nothing in there that guarantees that they will release if you sign it. Just go send it to a lawyer and ask a professional's opinion, because there's a lot of text in there. For it to be an NDA, there's a lot of text. If you've seen a traditional NDA,
Yes.
and it's all about really taking away your rights as a person to defend yourself or to go after something that's wrong,
Yep.
versus their ability to come after you for anything they want.
Yep.
It's a shady friggin' document, and that I'm not signing it.
No.
I would never sign it just because I got it. I sent it to a lawyer, and that's my recommendation. You do what you
Yeah.
want to do. If you want to test it and sign it, test and sign it. But I've already had an agent that did, and she was like, "Yeah, I signed it." Blah blah blah. Like, they still haven't released me, and I was like, "Yeah, there's nothing guaranteeing they will. They won't.
And they won't.
They won't.
They won't.
They want you to feel desperate. They want you to feel like, man, I got it, and to break you down to where you finally go back. That's the
Yep.
kind of tactics that they're using. And you're thinking about like taking money from them and going back. Really? Like, that's the kind of people you want to align yourself with in your life with? No, those are evil people.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
shout from the rooftops, "Hey, no contracts. You can go whenever you want," and then now all of a sudden you got to sign something to leave. No, that's not. That's a contract. That's a
It
lie.
is. And
And
it's.
and whew, I could go on. I could go on this for
I
days.
know. I know. And I want to give Genevieve a shout out, because we started kind of full time in this industry together, and she's amazing. Jeno is just freaking awesome.
Yeah, she
Um,
is. She's a fantastic woman.
but just going through that and seeing it, and I was like, do I really want this? I had to pray about it, because I'm like, do I really want to go through the motion of doing this, or can I afford to not write business at my practice company? And I took a lot of time to pray, and my husband reassured me, like, whatever we're going through, God is going to get us through it.
Hmm.
And so if this is the path that God is leading you and your team, with Advantage One, then go with them. And he's seen the difference. Like, I was depressed. Like, I was in this slump where I would spend hours watching Netflix, because I was like, I don't want to dial. I don't want to talk to my agents. I don't want to do nothing, because whatever I do, I'm being told that I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And that, piece by piece, I was broken. And I was like, that's not a good feeling. And that's not a feeling that comes from God. And so Kevin has, like, I probably will get emotional talking about this, but Kevin has really helped me see the light, and was like, PT, you got this. Like, I underestimate how I am as a leader,
Hmm.
because of because of the stuff that has happened at the previous practice company. And now I feel like a new refreshed person and just feeling better in the leads, and my agents are a lot happier.
Yeah.
They're getting their contracts. Some of them just bought their first batch of leads, or and their lead flow is starting to come in, and they're just excited. They're super excited.
Yeah. And for those of you watching, if you just came here and you're like, hey, what do I do because they're not releasing my contracts? Don't worry about it. Get contracts with us that you don't have.
Yeah.
We have plenty of carriers with plenty of products, especially with we got Kansas City Life and GCU that we're about to start with. Those are going to be amazing carriers. Those are going to crush most carriers that you own, the handful of carriers you have with your practice company. So we do have substitutes that you can use that are just as good, if not better price for sometimes very unique situations for clients that they will be able to provide solutions when you're sitting down, depending upon if it's a final expense, mortgage protection, tax-free retirement, doesn't matter. So just rest assured that there's options. We can get you contracted with other carriers. Those other ones, you can let them fall off of. After 6 months, carriers will release you no matter what. If the practice company doesn't want to release you, guess what? The carriers will after 6 months, and they'll transfer you wherever you want to go. Yeah. So,
and I was glad. I mean, I was told at the practice company, you're not working hard enough. Like, you didn't issue pay this week $10,000, so you can't get that carrier. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? Now that I think about it, it was a blessing in disguise, because I don't have to fight those. I can come over here and have better products.
Isn't it great? You can go into your insurance pay and request any carrier. You don't have to do some weird request that like takes forever. Like 3 weeks later, all of a sudden you're getting a random email. It's like, hey, you got 12 hours to go get this one carrier in your insurance pay. And you're like, man, I was in the field all day. I didn't see that email. I couldn't. Oh, and by the way, insurance pay is not going to, you can't use it on an iPhone or an iPad at the time. It has to be on a computer. And you're like, damn it. And now you got to make another request. It's ridiculous. Their system is literally made to funnel you to one carrier and force you to pay something or sell something that's going to be more expensive, 20% more than every other carrier. It doesn't work. No. It's like literally meant to make agents fail and make them succeed, make them look good.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
and it's like wherever they get a bonus, that's where they're going. They're like pushing that product. And I'm like, dude, that doesn't make sense. I just told you, like, my client cannot afford that, and you're telling me, no, force it down their throat. I'm not doing that because then I have to pay for the chargeback.
Exactly.
If they can't afford it. And it has nothing to do with you. And then now you're calling me and asking me why I got that chargeback because I forced it down my client's throat. Yeah. They didn't want it.
That's what happens when you force products and you force them to buy. Because what happens? They're going to eventually come back and be like, they're going to wait till you leave, and then they're going to cancel right after you leave, and you just have a chargeback right away. It doesn't make sense. That's why you should be an advisor. You work with them in like side by side in concert with them of let's find the best product that makes the most sense for what you are looking for. And you tell me, let me ask questions, let me do an assessment, and then based off of my knowledge of all the carriers and products I have, I can handpick, boom, that's the best one. This will fit what you're looking for, and it should approve you. Let's see if we can get you approved.
Yep.
That changes the conversation, the dynamic of what you're doing drastically. Yeah. And so
remember.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I remember listening to one of your, because I was telling Kevin, I'm like, okay, I got to get off the phone. I got to listen to this podcast that Greg just had. I wrote 20 pages of notes. Like, I haven't written 20 pages of notes since college. And so I'm like, I'm writing this down and you're telling me like word for word what I need to do. And I did exactly that with my client. And when it came to the application, they're like, how do we sign up? I didn't have to sell it because I'm giving them something already that they know they don't have. And I remember you saying that over and over again in your podcast, and it just kept resonating with me. And it was true. By the end of that conversation, they were like, Pegnia, you don't have to tell us anything else. Like, we want this. Like, where do we sign up?
Yeah.
And that was a good feeling because I was nervous. I was like, oh my God, they're not going to want this product. Like, I'm not even confident in IULs, so how can I sell something that I'm not confident in? And I followed exactly what you and Kevin and John Doe told me, and it worked. And
Uh,
now I
and
got
and now
nine.
we have so many people writing IULs right now because it's
Yes.
just, I mean, they have their systems where it kind of teaches it, but no one really feeds into them, and it's not promoted, and no one else really knows how to do it. So they're just like, yeah, just write this, just write this, just write this. And then you realize like there's a lot better products out there that do a lot more. And it's just it really is a no brainer when you can sit down and you can showcase, hey, this is how we're going to structure this IUL for you. This is what you're going to have. This is what you can do. This is create your own bank account. Let's go ahead and save for retirement. It's a no brainer.
Yeah. And I just want to give a shout out to Keenan Smith, I believe is his last name. He had posted in the training video in Slack on his presentation on what he does on Canva. And I use that. I use that on a daily basis with
Mm-hmm.
my clients to show them like, hey, this is how it's going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you take X amount of money, it's not going to grow. They're like, okay, sign me up. You don't have to tell me anything else. Just sign me up. And by the way, I'm going to send you 4 more people. I just got 6 referrals yesterday from the 3 applications I wrote yesterday.
That's
So it's
that's
like,
so awesome. That's so awesome.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even work through my A leads right now because I have so many referrals.
Hey! Find out if there's somebody in Dallas that wants to buy them from you. There's plenty of agents that are in the Dallas area that are looking for leads. Believe me. In fact, I can get you a list if you want to sell some of your leads and just give it to
I
them
do.
that
I was
way
like,
because you're running through those like crazy. I got some gals that are here in the area. They're waiting for their lead flows to turn on. So, so it, just talking to you, the way you're going through everything and summing up everything, it's not just the lead quality. It's not just the leadership. It's not just the mindset shift. It's not just the training. It's the compilation and the alignment of all those things into one that's changing your business.
yes.
If you had this kind of experience over there, I doubt you would have left.
Yeah.
Because you'd be profitable, you'd be successful, you would get the right training. No one would talk down to you. I think that's a big thing that a lot of we don't really hammer down or don't really acknowledge as much as we should is when you have somebody in your organization that you're upline, you're looking to for support, for help, for guidance, for mentorship, and whenever you do anything that they don't like and they scold you mentally and emotionally and verbally, that has an impact on people. That has an impact on their mindset, has an impact on how they feel about themselves. Sounds to me like you were saying you were depressed. You got to a point where you're depressed. You didn't want to take calls. You didn't want to do calls. You didn't want to help your team because you didn't know how to help your team because you're not getting help.
Yep.
And how much of a difference does it make just in your personal life, not having to deal with that. And like, hey, if I reach out to Kevin, if I reach out to Greg, if I reach out to Chris Curry, if I reach out to Spencer Long, the president of the company, he's going to help me.
Yeah.
I've had people be like, hey, who do I call about this? I'm like, hey, actually Spencer can help you with that. They're like, isn't he the president? I was like, yeah, man, here's his phone number. Go text him. And then they'll text me back with a screenshot like, he actually texted me back. It's like, yeah, man, he cares about the agents. He cares about everybody. He wants everyone to succeed. So that makes a huge difference. And then you pile that on with the quality of the leads, the training we're doing to make sure that people are prepared, not just like, oh, get used to dialing on the phone and call me in the home. And what they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you one company between 2 different products.
Yep.
They're not going to give you any, even if they know, here's the bad thing is that even if they know that that person cannot be approved with that specific carrier or product, they'll be like, go ahead and put it through anyway. See if it gets through the check.
Yep.
They do that every single time. And if you're getting this, if you're over that company and you're calling up your upline and that's what they're telling you, they're doing you a disservice.
Yes. And your client.
And your client's a disservice. It's damn near criminal. If you know it's not going to be approved, why are you telling them to still put it through to see if it gets through the prescription check so that they can just answer no to all the questions? Why?
Yep.
That's illegal. that doesn't take care of the carrier, that doesn't take care of the agent, that doesn't take care of the client.
No, because
That's
we're not still.
literally,
Yeah, we're still not putting them in the best financial situation just because we're trying to serve someone else's bottom line.
yeah,
And so we're focusing on that and that alone. And we're like, no, but we know in our heart that that's not where they belong. But
yeah,
you're telling me this. And I had to start pivoting to Jen Coral. You know, she became one of my biggest mentors because I was like, I'm being told XYZ and you're telling me this, and I trust Jen because she's running
yeah,
the field, you know, and you just can't trust. I mean, the practice company, I don't know where they fell off because I believe at some point they were probably good, but I think that now that you're because we've been drinking the Kool-Aid for so long,
yeah,
I've done it, you've probably done it, where you're just
yeah.
like, yes, we're gonna keep going, we're gonna keep recruiting people, bringing on people, and then you see like, okay, I did really good, but now I'm not doing so good, and then now I'm being lied to, and I'm being told to lie to my agents, and I didn't feel comfortable with that. Like
Yeah.
when you text me about the podcast, I was like, I don't know, like, am I gonna have to lie about things, or can I just be real?
What did I tell you when you
And
started?
you're like, no, be you, be honest, just
Talk about whatever you
about
want. What do you want to talk about?
yes, yes,
So,
and that because I was asked to go on to a podcast at my previous practice company,
yeah,
but I was told what to say, and I was not comfortable with that. I
yeah.
was like, my integrity does not align with that, and I'm not going to do that. Okay, well, we're going to go to the next candidate. Perfect. That candidate's not me.
Well,
Because
you're a stronger person than I because they had me lie on a podcast and say I was in the home and I was not because they didn't
yeah,
want agents to feel that there was agents having success in a remote capacity. And
yeah,
there was a big podcast that right after my massive month,
yeah,
and I was called by someone high up in the company and said, "Hey, we want to get you a podcast, but there's a lot of agents asking because some people know that you're remote, and we want you to say you did it in home."
mm-hmm,
And I did to fuel their machine, to fuel their messaging, and they had me lie, and I did it. And I was like, I can't say I was all in home because I wasn't,
mm-hmm,
because I did like I sold in a lot of different states. I'm licensed in 35 different states. There's no way I was doing that many travel trips,
yeah,
and running those kinds of appointments. It's just not happening. So I was like, but I'll say I was in the home for some,
yeah,
and I was not in the home at all,
yeah,
in the least bit. And so you're a stronger person than I because
yeah,
I felt it was like, you know what, in the big scheme of things, it's I see what they're trying to do, and they want to try to make sure that there's a system in place to help agents train that properly, and that system's not built. So if they start doing it on their own, it is so like doing remote sales is harder if you don't have a system in place to train and to guide them because it's just selling a different way. So I do understand that. So I rationalized the lie in my own
yeah,
mind, and I said,
yeah,
that they mean well. They didn't mean well.
yeah, yeah,
They didn't. So
yeah.
yeah.
So it's, I mean, I'm glad that chapter is closed. You actually inspired me to start 75 hard. I see your 75 hard shirt, and
Yes. Yeah.
it's
That'll
been
change your life. It'll change your life,
oh, it
PT.
has like 12 days in. I'm telling you, Greg, like I had this spiritual awakening where God is like, if they don't serve you a purpose in your life, you let it go. And I used to hang on to people for so long,
Mm.
and just even though I knew how toxic they were or things in my life, and I released everything. I was just like, you know what? I feel amazing. I feel blessed. I wake up every morning. I'm on a schedule. I don't even put my alarm clock on anymore. I'm up at 5:30 every morning. I just feel good.
It is a game changer in your
Yeah.
life and your mind. I was talking to Jeff Von Keenis. He was saying that old Grub's going to start it January 1st with his girlfriend. And I was like, bro, I
Hmm.
can't wait. You're going to be a different person. You will be a different human being
Yeah.
at the end of 75 days. I promise you.
Yeah. And you
And
lead different
yeah,
when you have your mindset right.
yeah.
So
So that is fantastic. PT, thank you so much for coming on board. This has been a great conversation. I really enjoyed this. Um,
thank
if anybody listen to you and says, you know what, I completely identify with the things that she was saying and what she stands for, and they want to work with you, how can they reach out to you?
They can reach me via my cell phone, 972-890-8001. And or my Facebook, it's Peng Nia PT Burke. And then my Instagram, which is listed here, at ptburke.advisor or ADV1 brokers.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming on and taking the time just to speak with us and speak to all the agents. I know that your message is going to touch somebody, you know, and,
I hope it does.
and you're crushing it. So get ready for people to start texting you.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Thank you so much, Greg.
you're very welcome. It was my pleasure. For all the agents watching, thank you so much for taking part in the ADV1 podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you hit the subscribe button to the channel. You turn on your notifications, because we're coming to you each and every weekday with topics, trainings, guest speakers. We're hitting the knowledge every single day. So if you got something out of this, if you enjoyed what you heard, if you learned something, if you were entertained by the conversation between PT and I, then there's a simple fee. And that fee is to share this with somebody else that can get something out of it. Okay.